Hello, welcome back to Possess Your Peace podcast. I'm your host, Ashanti, and today is day 4. Girl, you have made it, or I guess I should say week 4 of the How to Overcome Anxiety by Faith series. It's our last step today. I don't want to waste any time. Let's go. Hey friend, I want to invite you to Possess Your Peace's first ever revival called Girls Stand Up. Revival means to be brought back to life. What needs to be brought back to life in you? Whatever it is, God is willing and ready to revive it, and He's doing it this November at the Tinley Timber Event Center just outside of Dallas in Wills Point, Texas. This movement is 100% inspired by God, so you know He's got a plan for you, and it's going to be so good. Click the link below in the show notes to RSVP for this free experience. I hope to see you there. All right, take a deep breath. Just inhale and exhale because you've done it. You've made it. You have come to the last step of the How to Overcome Anxiety by Faith series. And although you're like, girl, I don't know how this is possible in 4 steps, I promise you that if you do every single thing that we've talked about in the last 4 weeks, that you will overcome anxiety. There are 3 episodes before this one, so if you haven't heard any of them, you need to go back and listen to them because they're very important. This part is not going to help you if you don't go back and listen to those 3, okay? The first step was definitely standing our ground, planting our feet, and establishing our faith in God, deciding to believe Him, defining what we're going to believe, and then declaring it. The second part, I broke down into 2 phases, which was to protect your faith and to set some boundaries. You got to stop feeding that fear. You have to stop feeding that anxiety and instead feed your faith. Replace your old thoughts with new thoughts. I mean, if you go back and listen to last week's episode, you're in for a treat because we were talking all about how to renew that mind to build yourself up to a place where you can go back to social media, where you can go back to your work or wherever you are that is giving you anxiety without fear. And so today is just the cherry on top, and it is the most important one. And I know I've said that about the last 3, that each one is important. They're all equally the same. Let me stop playing around. All of them are so important to you being free from anxiety. So this step just adds to it, all right? Step number 4 to overcoming anxiety by faith is to do your faith. That is, you are now a performer. You are now someone who executes what they believe. You are now somebody who says what they believe and does what they believe. Now, I'm just going to make it real broad for a second so that you can get an understanding, and then we'll break it down. James chapter 2, verse 14 says, faith without works is dead. That means that if you say you have faith, but you don't actually do anything behind what you say you believe, then you really don't have faith in it. And that's true for everything in your life. If you say that you believe that, diet and exercise will help you get healthier, and you don't diet and you don't exercise, no one is going to believe what you say because you're not doing what you say you believed you would do, right? You're not doing what you say you believe. So it's the same thing with anxiety. Anxiety is like a bully. He pressures you to do what he wants you to do all the time. He pushes on you. He says, go and Google that symptom. He says, go and yell at your neighbor. He says, go and have a panic attack. So anxiety is that bully. And you're saying, I don't want you in my life. Get out of my life. I believe God. And anxiety is going, I don't see it. I don't see where you believe God in your life, because every time I tell you to do something, you do it. Every time fear says, go and do this, you do that. Every time fear says it's time to panic over this, or it's time to overthink this, or it's time to freak out about something, you do it. So what we have to do now is we actually have to put some skin in the game. We actually have to be real about what we say we believe. And we can't just rely on the sticky notes that we have on our mirrors. Now we have to rely on ourselves. And I realize that for some of us, especially those of us who are procrastinators, those of us who are perfectionists, who think that we have to really have it all together before we make any moves, this is something that is a bit of a challenge. However, It is the most, I am going to go ahead and say it is the most important part of your faith. You can believe all day long, but if you don't actually do anything about it, you're not going to succeed. So you say, okay, Ashanti, what do I need to do? Well, the good news is that you've already started doing some things. In step one, you were defining things. That's a faith work. You were declaring things. That's a faith work. And you were deciding things. I'm going to decide to believe God. I'm going to decide to agree with God. Those are faith works, believe it or not. Not everything is physical. Some things are mental. Some works are spiritual. Sometimes prayer is just that faith work that you need to do, right? Jesus said, pray without ceasing. Always be praying. Always be found praying for something or someone. Keep that constant communication window open with God. And when you do that, you are performing your faith. So my challenge for you and what I'm going to tell you to do is to simplify it. Don't think that you have to make these big, huge, grand decisions right now and say, this is gung ho. I'm all about faith today. Just start small. All right. What can I do today that activates my faith? What can I do today that reflects what I believe? Last week, we had a good discussion about forgiveness. So the faith work today can be, I'm going to actually forgive this person that I have been holding this grudge against. I am actually going to release the debt they owe to me. And I am actually going to set free every expectation that I had for them and allow myself to move into this new phase of life without that bitterness. That's a faith work. For me, the faith work was I'm cutting off my phone. I'm not going to look at my social media. I'm not going to even think about it. And instead, I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to journal every single time I start to feel overwhelmed with my thoughts. These are small faith steps that can get you to the other side of this anxiety mountain. And here's the thing that I really want to make you understand. Consistency is the key. You're doing this one time is not going to change anything. If you were going to lose 10 pounds and you dieted and exercised one day, that 10 pounds is going to still be with you, homie. Okay. You're still going to wake up every day with that 10 pounds on your back because you were not consistent in the dieting. You were not consistent in the exercising. And in this phase, the consistency is the only way that you are going to find that peace. Possess your peace is all about doing what you say you believe so that you can go and own that peace. It's taking possession of the thing that God has given you. But if you don't do anything, homegirl, you're going to be without peace. Okay? Okay? So how can you, my question for you today, because I could tell you a million things that you should do or a million things that you could do, but at the end of the day, your life is not my life and you have to make these decisions for yourself. So how can you activate your faith in your life? And what can I do consistently that is going to help me to heal through this process? And listen, the more you do, the better you will become. Practice makes progress, right? And progress makes better. We learned this in step 2. Practice makes progress. Progress makes better. The more you practice at something, don't worry about being perfect, but the more you practice at something, the more you progress in that thing. The more you progress in that thing, the better you become at that thing until you no longer have to keep practicing it every single day. I used to journal every day. I could show you 4 journals and I have filled from front to back with prayers, with thoughts, with just me writing out what happened that day, with me writing out how I got so mad, with me writing forgiveness letters. I could show you them all. But now I don't journal every day. I used to journal 2 or 3 times a day. I don't journal at all anymore. Not unless I'm really just like having a really rough day, then I'll go back to it. But it's very few far in between that I actually have to do that because what I was doing while I was journaling was I was progressing myself to be able to handle my thoughts without having to dump them all out on paper. And that's what you're doing here. We're going to go back to that basketball example, okay? If you want to be a good basketball player, you have to practice. You have to shoot free throw after free throw. You have to practice dribbling up and down the court. You have to work on your shot and your angles. You have to work on running with the ball. There are so many aspects to being a basketball player that you have to practice over and over again if you want to be any good at the game. And it's the same thing with faith. The more you practice tithing, but the better you'll be at it. The more you practice praying, the better you get at it. The more you practice going to church consistently, the better you will be at going to church consistently. The more you practice speaking what you believe and not what you're afraid of, the better you'll become at speaking things that are good and positive in your life. The more you practice reading your Bible, the better you will understand it. The more you practice telling people about your faith, the better you will become at making more disciples for Jesus Christ. This is all the same. God created the system and he gave it to us so that we could take it into our possession and utilize it to make our lives more prosperous, to have more peace, to be a better person. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes consistency. It takes that diligence. It takes that showing up every single day. And listen, you're going to have bad days where you miss. You're going to have days where you're practicing shooting the free throw and you're just bricking them all, right? Like they're just hopping off the goal. You can't get it in the net to save your life. But what matters is that you showed up and that you went through the bad day and that you allowed yourself to have that bad day, because that bad day showed you where you could improve again. And that bad day allowed you to talk to somebody that gave you some help, right? You're not in this alone. And I don't want you to feel like you're alone. So another challenge that I have for you is to find an accountability partner. Get somebody that you trust, that you can talk to, and just say, hey, I am working through anxiety and I am using my faith to do it. I would love it if you would just help me out on the days where I'm struggling the most. If I reach out to you and I send you an emoji that's a taco, that means, girl, come have a taco with me because I need some help. But don't think that you're in this by yourself. And if you want to talk to me, girl, message me, comment on YouTube, find me on Instagram at It's Ashanti Aisha, and let's talk, let's chat, because I'm here for you. I know how difficult it is to go through anxiety alone, but I also know the power of having friends, and I also understand the power of having faith, and I also understand the power of having God on your side through it all. Today's episode is much shorter than the last 4, but that's really all it is. You've already started journaling. Hopefully you went back and listened to the last 3 and you're like, okay, I'm ready for it. Let's do it. The thing that's going to change your life, my friend, my sister, is showing up every day and doing what you say you believe. All right? That's all for today, friend. And that is the end of our How to Overcome Anxiety series. Keep coming back to Possess Your Peace podcast, because this isn't the end of the podcast, of course. And there are more greats this ministry. And I can't wait to see what he does. And I want you to be a part of it all. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel, subscribe to this podcast, follow me on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and let's continue to grow our faith. Let's continue to possess our peace and own it so that we don't walk in fear anymore, because you were made for more, girl. And you can't do any other things that God's called you to do if you're afraid every single day of your life. We're going to walk by faith. We're not walking by sight. We're going to step into the power that God has given us, and we're going to step into that authority with power and peace and joy and love. And we're going to own our lives the way that God intended us to. With that being said, please, if you haven't already signed up, make sure that you go and click the link below so that you can join us at the Girls Stand Up Revival. It is going to change your life. If you're struggling with anxiety, if you're struggling with fear, if you're struggling with depression, whatever you're dealing with, if you're like, girl, I'm not perfect enough to come to that, that's the reason why you need to be here, because you're not perfect and you need God to revive you. You need him to revive your faith. My most downloaded episode this month is Revive Your Faith in 3 Easy Steps. So I know that you're out there, and I know that you want to come to this revival, that you need to be at this revival, because whatever God is going to do, girl, it's going to bless you, and it's going to give you the faith and the power to stand up and walk in the authority and the love and the joy and the peace that God has for you. I can't wait to see you there. Please click the link below and share this episode with a friend. Share this series. Tell somebody that you know that you love it. Subscribe to our emails. And I think that's everything. I love you guys so much. I'm praying for peace. I'm praying for joy. I'm praying for power and faith to overcome anything that comes your way. And I'm speaking that into you right now in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. See you next time.